Okay, it's about 2 after the hour. Thank you for joining us. We'll get started. Just a reminder, we will be recording, so if people want to keep their cameras off, that's completely fine. My name is Jill Scarson. I am the Partner Success Leader for the Palace Project. I'm joined today by Rachel Perry-Taylor with SEFLIN, as well as my colleague Tara Carpenter, our Implementation Manager for Palace. And this is really just an opportunity for a refresher on the Palace Project, what we've been up to in the last few years, what's new, as well as an opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. So I have a brief presentation, and what I can do is you have the opportunity to ask questions at the end, but also if you have any questions you'd like to raise while I'm talking, Tara will be monitoring the chat and can stop me, whatever works best for you. So just a quick overview of Palace. We'll talk about the project vision, the history, as well as the Palace Project ecosystem and its components, the shared collection that's available to you through SEFLIN, as well as these benefits that are unique to Palace. And as I mentioned, plenty of time for questions at the end. Okay, so the Palace Project. We often get a question about, the name for the palace, where did it come from? And really it harkens back to a quote from Andrew Carnegie about libraries being palaces for the people. This was popularized by Eric Kleinenberg in a recent, let's say maybe within the last 5 years, New York Times article that he expanded into a book talking about social infrastructure and how libraries are the centers of communities and really are those last truly free third spaces. And so what does that mean for us? So we are a nonprofit ebook platform that's really looking to build that digital future for and with libraries. We look at Palace as being a community-driven project. It really is one of those situations in which we look to our stakeholders to guide us and support us as we learn and grow. We support the mission of libraries to maximize access to all e-content and increase e-literacy, to reduce that equity gap. So equitable collections as well as representative collections. And again, harkening back to that idea that libraries are palaces for the people. So libraries are for everyone. Just a little bit about our history. I know that SEFLIN has been a partner for some time, but for those of you that are new to Palace or didn't know the history, Palace is built on the Simply E platform. We have gone far, far beyond what the original platform was intended for. But in 2019, Lyricist, DPLA, and NYPL collaborated on the Library Simplified Simply E platform. The idea was to come together and expand this project to benefit more people. In 2021, after about 2 years of discussions, there were some decisions made, and New York Public Library actually decided to take a step back, really focus on Simply E for their patrons specifically, whereas Lyricist and DPLA saw the opportunity to really expand this into a platform for all libraries. So in 2021, we were able to secure a Knight grant. And the Palace Project, as it is known, was born in March of that year. Also happening in that year, we were able to secure a agreement with Amazon Publishing, as well as Audible content that became available the following year. The app went live in October of 2021, but really things started to kind of come to fruition in the spring of 2022. By the end of that year, we had our first academic library. In 2023 and 2024, we really focused on some additional vendor integrations, including Blackstone Unlimited, which is the new SimUse audio subscription from Blackstone, as well as Unlimited Listens, who are our partners. We had our first Discovery integration this year in a collaboration with Bywater. And as of today, there are over 670 libraries that are actively live in the Palace Project app. So what, again, is the Palace Project? We are a full ecosystem. So there's a full platform here comprising the Palace Project mobile application, which is available for iOS and Android phones and tablets. There is our administrative portal, which is our Palace Collection Manager. That's effectively the back end of the app, where libraries are able to view their statistics as well as kind of manipulate the way that their catalog screen looks in the app through the creation of custom lists and lanes. We do have a marketplace, but we're a little bit different in that because we're a nonprofit, we're trying to advocate for fair licensing terms on behalf of libraries. This can include some sorts of bundles, more concurrent ones, as well as some of you might know, we're working with our partners with DPLA to secure some ownership options, which would mean that libraries might be able to own in perpetuity a license. A recent press release announced our partnership with IPG to do this, but we are effectively looking to work with other publishers on that sort of license. We also have a open access collection, our Palace Bookshelf, which is comprised primarily of public domain titles as well as some open access and OER. Lastly, for those libraries that are unautomated or can't integrate with our platform, we do have a virtual library card system, which would allow library patrons to create a library card right in the app. So these are some like four key areas of Palace. We like to say that if you're trying to think about what makes us different or unique, it's these kind of four key tenets. One is that we provide the opportunity for you to integrate multiple collections from different places. We offer some unique content partnerships and innovative partnerships, as well as the fact that we are designed for discovery. We prioritize things a little bit differently in the app, and we are focused on accessibility and ease of use. And I will talk about a little bit more about those first three in the coming slides. But to talk about our accessibility is a core tenet of what we're doing. We do have a product designer who is trained in accessible and user-centered design. So we are currently undergoing some new design, more user-centered design plans, and those improvements will be continually updated over time. So again, focus on accessibility. We are compatible with iOS. I think it's VoiceOver and then TalkBack for Android or vice versa. So we do work with adaptive and assistive technologies. So what does multiple content sources in one simple app mean? So the Palace app is an aggregator, and we can aggregate content from most major vendors. That means if you're sourcing content from multiple places like Overdrive and Baker and Taylor and from the Palace Marketplace, all that content is included alongside each other in the Palace app. This is including our Palace Bookshelf right out of the box. So any of those open access titles, public domain titles are also included in your catalog. And we can also supplement those supplemental purchases from us, from our sister projects with Lyricis's Biblioboard and the Indie Author Project as well. And here's just a sense of our current integrations. As you can see, you know, we continue to have relationships with these vendors. We're still in constant communication with Overdrive and Baker and Taylor. We do consider them to be partners. So even though we do have a content marketplace, that Palace really is a full service platform. We look to these other organizations that we work with to be able to support their content, because the idea really is about centering the library and making more of that information available in one place. So regardless of whether we're selling you content or you're pulling in content from other places, really at the core of this is giving you the opportunity to share more in a place that's easily accessible for patrons. That said, you know, it is a very easy situation for patrons to get started. There's 5 steps. Because we integrate with libraries' ILSs for patron authentication, most patrons will log in using their library barcode and password or PIN number. That is the only information they will ever provide us. The one exception is for those libraries that are unautomated if a patron needs to create a virtual library card. But I point this out because one, it makes it understandable that it is very easy for a patron to just log in with their barcode and PIN. But also it means that, you know, they're not giving us much information, and the information that they do provide with us really does stay within our systems. We are very secure as well as concerned about patron privacy. So when we say most patrons will only ever provide us with PII No PII beyond their barcode, we mean it. We are also designed for discovery. The default setting within the Palace Project app is to showcase available titles. So that could be available new bestsellers, or it could be available backlist titles. And the idea there is to really highlight your whole collection over the whole SKUs. So patrons can still find those new bestsellers that they're looking for. It's just not the first thing that they'll see in the app. We like to say that a patron can log in to their library, click on any title on the catalog screen, and borrow it within 30 seconds. So it's like a 3-click process to be able to get a book in a hand. And ideally, the idea is to focus on the idea of getting people to read and what's available, as opposed to maybe kind of looking just for that one title that everyone else is reading that they might not be able to have access to for another 6 to 12 months. Um, Built into the system is to automatically suggest other titles by the same author or in the same series. So if in an item record, it will show the authors of their titles, as well as titles in that series. And lastly, we do have a novelist integration. So if your library subscribes to novelist, we are able to integrate that into your Palace app instance. I did talk a little bit about these unique content and innovative partnerships. In the last year or so, we've been able to forge these really strong relationships with 2 other publishers. The first is Unlimited Listens. They're kind of an up and coming company that focuses on unlimited simultaneous use audiobook subscriptions. There are currently about 5,000 titles available in their collection, and it focuses on inspirational titles, westerns, fiction, clean romance, children's, and classics. But they have some new products that are coming out, including a partnership with Todos Audio, which would support sim-use Spanish collections. Beyond that, Palace partners have the opportunity for special pricing. I'm not a salesperson. I'm really here to say, we are looking to work with anyone who's willing to work with us. And in making this content available from other distributors or vendors, we're able to kind of broaden our reach. So Unlimited Listens, we are their sole platform access or app access for their content. Beyond that, we have a really strong partnership with Blackstone. They have allowed us to be able to make their collection available in our app. So for libraries that choose to subscribe to Blackstone Unlimited, that also have the Palace Project, we can very easily integrate that collection alongside all of the other content that you're sourcing from other vendors. This is, 6,000 always available sim-use audiobooks, so there's no hold queues, no long waits, and everyone has equal access to that content. Blackstone is the one that you would reach out to for more information about that project. In-house, we do have these 2 sister projects. Biblioboard has been around for years, offering some really great sim-use perpetual unlimited ebooks. There's content in over 30 world languages, including the Indie Author Project Select Collection, which is a curated collection of independently published works from the Indie Author Project, which is an annual competition. This year, they are still receiving submissions. I believe we've received kind of an unprecedented number of submissions from authors. I think we're well over 4,000 that are currently being reviewed and selected for next year's IAP Select Collection. So we should have more information on that soon. But our friends at Biblio also work with some really great publishers that are open to kind of some non-traditional licensing terms. So some of our newer Biblioboard publishers include Shoutmouse, Journey Press, University of Nevada, and then we do have that strong relationship with IPG on the Biblio side as well. So these are some of the publishers that are available through IPG. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that right now we are the only marketplace where libraries can source Amazon publishing and Audible content. This is a continued relationship. We do receive new Audible titles quarterly and continue to kind of pursue other additional innovative partnerships with companies like Amazon. Just a little bit about your SEFLIN shared collection. Rachel and Brock have purchased quite a bit of content from us that have been made available in perpetuity for SEFLIN libraries as through the Palace Project app. So right now that collection includes titles from Amazon Publishing and Audible, some Sunshine State Young Reader Award winners, Florida Teen Reads, banned books, Spanish language content, DEI titles, as well as core fiction and nonfiction for adults, children, and YA. And really that emphasis is on perpetual licenses. So these titles will stay in your collection forever. And I guess lastly, before we get into those questions, what makes Palace special? In an age where everyone has an app, we're really trying to do things different and really center the library. So we aggregate content from multiple vendors into our convenient app. We prioritize that available content for display. We do not sell user data. We also are a product of Lyrasis, which is a nonprofit organization, which aligns itself with library values. Every library is automatically configured with that large collection of open access materials. In addition to your SEFLIN shared collection, you can choose whether or not to integrate additional collections like your Overdrive or Cloud Library or Bigger and Taylor on top of that, and that is completely available to you at your discretion. And lastly, the Palace team is actively working to expand those partnerships with other vendors and develop additional integrations. And lastly, why should you use Palace? Well, we are an easy to use app that has been streamlined for patrons of all ages and abilities. We offer more of your digital content in one place. The shared collection materials expand your personal collections within the library. You can help alleviate hold SKUs by offering more of that alternative content source by featuring overlooked content. So, again, we talk about that whole collection over hold SKUs. So all of your backlist titles even from a year or two ago that are still great were bestsellers 2 years ago that maybe people couldn't get a chance to read at the time. Still great titles, still available to them from the library. And the best part about this is that your integration has already been paid for by SEFLIN. So there's very little in terms of, it's a very low stakes situation. You can test it out. You can share with your community when you're ready. You can share with staff. We do have a ton of ongoing resources that are available to libraries and patrons. We do have some upcoming webinars that talk a little bit more in depth about our admin collection manager. So customizing Palace at your library will show you how to create custom lists and lanes to promote collections within the Palace Project app. We'll be doing that on Tuesday, October 15th at 12 p.m. Eastern, followed by promoting Palace to your library community. And this really talks about some of those key talking points a little bit more in depth, as well as some ongoing supports that we have in place for library staff and patrons, talking about how to talk about Palace, what are some of the benefits again, but also talk about how some of our partner libraries are choosing to promote Palace within their communities and some of the unique projects that they have going on with Palace. And with that, we have plenty of time for questions. So I'm going to stop my screen, sharing my screen. And you can feel free to unmute or drop questions in the chat. We're happy to answer them.
And I'll just say I added our support email address to the chat. So if you think of something later or some more in depth, or you just don't want to speak now, that's okay. You can email us at support@thepalaceproject.org, and that will come to myself and to Jill and our whole team. So we'll be able to, help you if you have any troubleshooting issues or just general questions. So feel free to reach us there anytime.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone for joining us. As I mentioned, there will be a recorded link sent to your email. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. And thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.